When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And when your teacher is Hermes himself, you're in for quite the lesson. As Hermes says, "If thou but settest foot on this path, thou shalt see it everywhere." Hermeticism is one of the key traditions of Western Esoteric Sciences, along with JewishKaballah and Gnosticism. From the medieval alchemy and occult science of the Islamic Golden Age to the development of science in the Renaissance and the Age of Enlightenment up to our modern era, Hermeticism has always lurked behind the scenes as one of the driving philosophies behind great intellectual breakthroughs. Hermeticism has always played an integral role in the history of human understanding of the nature of being. But before we delve into the key Hermetic teachings and their insights into the nature of being, let's first get to know a little bit about Hermes Trismegistus, also known as Hermes the TriceGreatest, which is Old English for Hermes the super cool. The history and myths surrounding Hermes Trismegistus are abundantly available all over the internet. Thousands of sources give different accounts of this fascinating archetypal figure. Let us read his most influential text, the text that inspired Sir Isaac Newton, the father of modern science. This version of the text is the translation of Sir Isaac Newton from Latin to English. "'Tis true without lying, certain and most true, that which is below is like that which is above, and that which is above is like that which is below. To do the miracle of one only thing, and as all things have been and arose from one, by the meditation of one, so all things have their birth from this one thing, by adaptation. The sun is its father, the moon its mother, the wind hath carried it in its belly, the earth is its nurse. The father of all perfection in the whole world is here. Its force or power is entire, if it be converted into earth. Separate thou the earth from the fire, the subtle from the gross, sweetly with great industry. It ascends from the earth to the heaven, and again it descends to the earth, and receives the force of things superior and inferior. By this means you shall have the glory of the whole world, and thereby all obscurity shall fly from you. Its force is above all force. It vanquishes every subtle thing, and penetrates every solid thing. So was the world created. From this are and do come admirable adaptations, whereof the means is here in this. Hence I am called Hermes Trismegistus, having the three parts of the philosophy of the whole world. That which I have said of the operation of the sun is accomplished and ended." The text I just read is the Emerald Tablet of Hermes Trismegistus. The origins of the tablet cannot be traced beyond the old Arabic scriptures sometime between 200 CE and 800 CE. The ancient Arabic encyclopedia known as Kitab-e-Halal, or the Book of Causes, holds the oldest known version of the tablet. The text has allegedly survived from the Hellenistic period to the Islamic Golden Age. Hugo of Santilla introduced the tablet to the West with his translation of the text from Arabic to Latin in the 12th century CE, inspiring alchemists, artists, mystics, and scholars till this day. Anyway, enough about history. There are hundreds of sources that go in depth. We don't need to do that here. Let's delve into what we are here to introduce, the 7 Hermetic Principles. So let's talk about the Hermetic Principles. First of all, you need to keep in mind that this is but a humble introduction to the 7 Hermetic Principles. We advise you to read the Kybalion and the 3 Initiates, which is an essential Hermetic introductory text for a novice. Let's start with the first Hermetic principle, mentalism. The first Hermetic principle is about consciousness, that is, mind being the all. Or, as some Hermeticists like to say, the all is mind. The source of existence, the one cause that creates everything, is consciousness. Consciousness is the anchor upon which everything revolves. Once you grasp this principle, you realize that self with a capital S is the source of everything you experience. In other words, all your experiences, negative or positive, are sourced from the same fountain, which is the self. If you feel like you understand this principle, take a deep breath and look around you. Ask yourself this: have you ever experienced something outside of yourself? Take a moment to think about that. Now think about the following Hermetic maxim: as within, so without. When you realize that the border between the microcosm and macrocosm is very thin, that's your first step in the journey of self-mastery. The second Hermetic principle is correspondence. The famous maxim goes as follows: as below, so above. As above, so below. This iconic phrase is often used to give a very low resolution image of what Hermeticism is all about. Of course, the more you research and practice Hermeticism, that low resolution image becomes a high resolution image. The principle of correspondence holds a significant truth. Mind and matter play by the same rules. As the intellect progresses towards a better understanding of the mental planes, it also achieves a better understanding of the nature of the material world. Think of how a musician is able to play the notes that he imagines with his inner ear. That's one good way to think about the mastery of the law of correspondence. This brings us to the third Hermetic principle: vibration. Music is a more accurate format to portray reality than any form of abstract language. As Friedrich Nietzsche once said, language can never adequately render the cosmic symbolism of music, because music stands in symbolic relation to the primordial contradiction and primordial pain in the heart of the primal unity, and therefore symbolizes a sphere which is beyond and prior to all phenomena. Rather, all phenomena compared with it are merely symbols. Hence, language, as the organ and symbol of phenomena, can never by any means disclose the innermost heart of music. Language, in its attempt to imitate it, can only be in superficial contract with music, while all the eloquence of lyric poetry cannot bring the deepest significance of the latter one step nearer to us. Friedrich Nietzsche. The birth of tragedy. Just like music is composed by the interplay of various sound frequencies, that is, vibrations, the universe is also an interplay of multiple energies at different frequencies. Matter is merely energy condensed to very slow vibrations. Think of the all as an epic cosmic symphony that has infinite layers and soundscapes. The old saying that music communicates better than language holds true in the case of understanding this Hermetic principle. If you understand how music works, you can get a lot of insights into the nature of existence. Consider how music affects your mood and how you can use that to have some mastery over your emotions and internal states. Notice how different songs influence your awareness and mood. And remember that music is one of the most integral parts of mysticism and spirituality. So, try to elevate the status of music in your life from a mere dopamine fix to a spiritual practice. The fourth Hermetic principle: polarity. All truths are but half-truths. They are two sides of the same coin. There are two extreme poles to everything. Consider the pair of opposites, pain and pleasure. From the point of view of the source, consciousness, they are the same thing. They just vary in degree. Think of another pair of opposites, perhaps love and hate. Have you noticed how we often direct our feelings of hatred to the people we are supposed to love? The same source that nurtures also deprives, and the same fountain that gives blessings also curses. For example, a young girl would say, "I hate dad. He thinks I'm a little girl. I wish he just dies," when she's frustrated. But deep inside, it's her deep love for her father that drove her to feel that way. Perhaps because she feels that he doesn't understand what she's going through the way she expects him to do. On the other hand, the father might be angry at his daughter and tell her something hurtful, something that people only say to someone they hate. But that doesn't mean he doesn't love her. In other words, if we cannot hate, we can't truly love. But that doesn't mean we should let hate or naive love manipulate us like pawns. Love and hate are but the same thing. Let's say they are on the same spectrum. The only difference is in degree or the vibration frequency. The same goes for pleasure and pain. Going to the gym and lifting heavy weights can be a physically painful experience, especially if you have just started. Still, without the pain, you can't experience the ecstasy of athletic performance and all the extra pleasures that come with exercising, like sound health, good posture, fit body, etc. In regards to the opposite, Carl Jung once wrote, "No tree, it is said, can grow to heaven unless its roots reach down to hell." Being aware of such dichotomies elevates the consciousness. That's what the principle of polarity is all about. Now, the fifth Hermetic principle, rhythm. Everything swings between two extremes: the rise and fall of civilizations, the birth and extinction of species, the life and death of stars. There's a silent upbeat for every downbeat in a song, which is what gives us rhythm. It's a swing between the two extreme qualities of the same thing that creates everything. Fear not the swing of a pendulum, for it has to swing. However, the one thing that stays constant is the essence of life, consciousness, the eternal mind, which is constantly changing. The only constant is change, that is rhythm. Once you elevate your consciousness through discipline and wisdom, the bipolarity of experience no longer has a strong grip on you. You embrace swinging. In fact, you contribute to the groove either by dancing gracefully or by adding beats and notes to the cosmic composition. This brings us to the sixth Hermetic principle, cause and effect. For every flap of a butterfly's wings, no matter how insignificant it may seem, a storm accumulates as time flows, or shall we say everything vibrates. If you're familiar with the chaos theory and the mathematics behind it, then you know that no matter how insignificant a variable in nature might seem, the consequences of that little variable playing around with all the other variables may either exalt life or threaten it. The butterfly effect is always at work. Consider the case of a small virus affecting only one person in one Chinese city, and all the chaos and new social orders it leads to a few years later. Grasping this principle is an incentive to be careful about what you plant, because everything aggregates good and bad, negative and positive. You sow what you reap. So learn and practice how you cultivate your garden to your benefit and the people surrounding you. As sentient beings, we have free will, meaning we have to always make a choice between fostering the positive aspects of life or overindulging in the negative ones. This is where the Taoist may bring the concept of yin and yang and say, a well-lived life balances between the positives and the negative. Both negative and positive experiences serve as guides to the substantial truth and essence of life. Lying to yourself willingly or unwillingly distorts the substantial truth and renders the essence of life sometimes unbearable. That's why mindfulness and mental clarity are more important than anything else in any spiritual endeavor. And finally, the seventh Hermetic principle, gender. There are two aspects to existence: order and chaos. The longer you observe the chaos and interact with it, the more you're likely to find order somewhere in there. And once consciousness starts observing order in chaos, that's when the masculine and feminine energies play their dance. One could say that the endeavor of all thinkers, artists, and spiritual people throughout history was to find order amidst the chaos that we call the universe. From spirituality to philosophy and natural sciences, we see humans attempting to derive order out of chaos, to give us more power and bring us closer to a better understanding of creation and the art of living. Think of chaos as the feminine dark energy that has no form, and order as the masculine phallic energy of illumination, penetrating through the darkness, creating intricate patterns. Now think of both energies as your essence. You are both chaos and order. One person might lean towards chaos more than order, while the other might lean towards order more than chaos. And that's where we complement each other as brothers and sisters. Our masculine and feminine energies are a manifestation of the divine. When both energies engage in their cosmic symphony and dance, consciousness, life, and everything becomes manifest. Conclusion. Knowing about the Hermetic Principles is only the very tip of the iceberg. To live according to the Hermetic Principles is a lifetime endeavor, and a pleasure that only a few souls are lucky enough to experience. It takes a well-grounded person with a solid mind-soul-body connection to fully grasp the Hermetic Principles. It's highly encouraged to transmute the knowledge from mere abstractions to actual practices and daily life exercises that enhance the quality of your experience. Merely learning about these principles isn't enough. Practicing silent meditation and disciplining the body must always go hand in hand with studying Hermeticism as a novice. Sexual abstinence might also be required for a period. Sexual transmutation is an integral part of Hermeticism. Harnessing your sexual energy under your will is the first stepping stone to achieving your magnum opus. Before we end the video, I would like to recommend the Kybalion and the Corpus Hermeticum, which are two rites of passage if you want a good starting point. Check out the links in the description for some book recommendations and other sources. If you like this video, please consider supporting the channel. That would encourage us to create more similar content. And always remember to know, to will, to dare, and to keep.